Hello everybody and I hope you're doing well. Okay, today's video we are going to start rebuilding the engine. I mean, we've already made a start on it, putting the cylinder head back on and getting the tappet rail back on there. But we'll be going for the clutch plate today, and hopefully we'll be getting the water pump on, and with a little bit of luck we'll get the carbs, get them put back on, and the exhaust manifold. Alright, so let's crack on with that, shall we? Right, well, it's Sunday afternoon and I have just had a delivery. The new clutch plate's turned up. Ooh, that looks right, doesn't it? Okay. Oh, it looks slightly different. Yeah, but I've ordered, as far as I'm concerned, the right clutch and clutch plate, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so the job now is to get that onto there. Let's see how we get on. Right, let's have a bit of a tidy up. Let's get them out of the way. Okay then, well, I don't have a cut alignment tool. What I have got is the end of my little jacket arm for a bottle jack. And that, believe it or not, fits in neatly. Oh, come on. That is on. Okay. So. Right, let me just go away, find out what the torque setting are for these. We'll torque it up, and that should be that. Wouldn't believe that, would you? Oh man. Right, let's get these torqued up. Right, I'm reliably informed that the torque setting for these nuts is 30 foot-pounds, which equates to about 41 Newton meters. But I think we'll be doing it to 40. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just tighten these up until it starts pinching almost tight, and then we'll move to torque it properly. Okay, let's get these torqued up, shall we? 40 Newton meters. Okay, that's that. All done, all dusted. Just check this one more time. Fab. And there we go. Clutch is on. On to the next bit. Right, next little job will be our thermostat and thermostat housing. So, that is all set. thermostat. Put that straight in. Let's get our gasket. We'll put the gaskets. There we go. Gasket. It's nice and snug. Thermostat housing looks very shiny. Also, I don't just polish it up. It is cast aluminium, so if you're that way, where you want it looking really, really nice and polished and whatnot, doesn't take too long. It took me about 5 minutes to put that on. So there's our housing, and then we have our washers. Our nuts, some spring washers on there as well, and get some nuts on. I think that one needs chasing out, so come back to it in a sec when I've chased that thread out. Right, so just tap them back out. I've done all 3 threads. In fairness, they were all pretty rusty. Yeah, it's a 5/8. I think it was a 5/8 thread on there. Let's just check. Sorry, 5/16. 5/16 thread. So just redone them. And all pretty clear now. So we've now got a little torque wrench, and this needs to be torqued up to 8 Newton meters. So, 3. Okay, so that's that. Thermostat housing on. Let's see what we're going to do next. Right, well, I put 1 or 2 parts back on whilst we've been off camera there. All I've done simply is the engine brackets, the mounting brackets there, both sides, the earthen strap, the clutch you know about, the heater valve just there, and the oil filter housing. Like I say, we've got the bracket there, the other engine bracket on the other side. Okay then, so the next thing that we're going to get on with is our water pump. But before that goes on into its housing, I want to get some sealant on our gasket so that it is absolutely watertight and we don't have any problems. So we'll come back to that in just a minute when I've got the sealer sorted. Well, there's the water pump fitted on. I'm just going to torque it up now. I couldn't find anything relating to the torque settings on the bolts for these, so I've just had to Google it, and it says between 14 and 19 foot-pounds. So I'm going to go halfway. I'm going to go 17 foot-pounds, which is the equivalent of 23 Newton meters. So let's just get me torque set. 23. And we'll torque it up and we'll come back when that is done. Okay, so see you in a bit. Right, so that's that all done, all torqued up, good to go. On to the next bit. Well, as you can see, the next bit is the heat shield. I've had to make a slight adjustment because obviously this is the back of the heat shield, okay? So what we had on the back on both sides was 2 pieces of asbestos which have long since gone probably a nightmare for mechanics back in the day, having to play around with that. But anyway, so I've made a slight modification. I've got some heat shielding. I've made a little template, as you can see, and I've cut 2 pieces of heat shielding out, and I've riveted it top bottom onto the back of the heat shield, and I'll be doing exactly the same for the other side. I'll make a little template, I'll cut it to size, and I'll rivet it on. So we'll come back when I've done that. So there's our cardboard template already cut out. All that remains for me to do is to take that and cut a piece, or 2 pieces rather, of the heat shield material, and then return them back to the heat shield that we'll be putting onto the car. Drill a couple of holes, put a couple of rivets in, and that should be good to go. So we'll come back to it when I've done that. Well, there's our heat shield, all done, all dusted, slightly modified, and ready to go back on the car. That, in fairness, didn't take too long. Yeah, so I think it should be okay. But as always, time will tell. So, on to the next bit. Right, so the next part of the rebuild is going to be putting the manifold on. Alright, so I'm going to film it, the whole thing. That'll be the manifold, the carburetor manifold. I might even put the carbs on, I'm not too sure. But I know at some point, chances are I'm going to have to break it all down as and when I put the engine back in the car. But, you know, I just want to see what it looks like. And so therefore I'm going to build it up. And together, you know, we can work out what goes where. And yeah, hopefully have it done, dusted, and ready to go. Let's get on with it. Ooh, first things first, our exhaust manifold. Oh, sorry, first things first is obviously the gasket's gone on. Okay, we have put the gasket on already. Next thing is our carburetor manifold. Okay, so that is that. Now we just got to torque them up, and I believe the torque setting for these is between 15 and 20 foot-pounds. But I'm going to go halfway. I'm going to do it to about 18, which is round about 23 Newton meters. So we'll do that. Right, so that's them all torqued up. Right, next thing is going to be our gaskets. I'll pop one of them on there. I'll have another one on there. And then our modified heat shield. That can go on there, like so. And we can have, let's just check this side. Another gasket can go on there. And one on there. Next thing will be our spacers. So space number 1 and mixer number 2. On top of that again will be our gaskets. Right. Here we go. We've got carb number 1. Well, there's both carburetors on, and I think they look absolutely fantastic. And I think I made the right choice doing the heat shield in black. I think the heat shield in black really does look good. It really does look good. Right, so the next thing that we're going to do is put the linkage back on, and I've got some brand new springs to go on them. So let's crack on. Let's get that done and see how that turns out. Right, as you've all probably guessed by now, I've made a monumental mistake because I didn't check my photographs before I put the bloody carb back on. So I'm going to have to take one of the carbs off so as I can get the linkage on. So I'll do that now, and then we'll go into probably a little bit of time lapse so as I can get the linkage on. And yeah, oh, never ends, does it? Never ends. Anyway, let's try that. Well, that little mistake goes to prove 2 things. 1, I should have looked at my photographs before I decided I was going to put this little lot back together. And 2, just goes to show that I am definitely not a mechanic. Anyway, we got over it, so we'll move on. Okay, so I did end up buying some brand new springs as well. So we'll get them fitted up and see what the operation's like. So just give us a sec and I'll get this mounted somewhere and we'll fit them up. So we've got our springs. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to pop them back onto the carb, like so, and then we'll stick him back in their relative place on the heat shield. That's that one. Right, in there, and that's that. I think that's for our choke. Okay, that'll be our accelerator, and that'll be for our choke. So there's our springs back on. Right. Do you not think I'll put the air filters on just as a tester, just as a little tester, just to see what they look like? Well, just finished putting the second pancake air filter on. As you can see, it's got the proper nuts this side, so I'm going to have to try and see if I can find some for the other side as well. But look at that. That looks absolutely fab. That really does look the business. Yeah, just send us a comment, tell us what you think, because I think that is really, really starting to look the part now. Like I say, I've only put them on for show for now. They will be coming back off, but you can see the effect it's going to have as and when it gets put into the vehicle. It's going to look absolutely amazing. So yeah, look at that. Yeah, like I say, just drop us a comment, tell us what you're thinking, you know. Superb. Right, on, I think, to the next bit, and what I'm thinking of doing is putting the fan back on the water pump. Let's have a go with that, shall we? See you in a minute. there we go, another piece put back on, our fan. As you can see, we've got the fan, we've got our spacer. So yeah, it really is starting to come together now. So I think, yeah, I think I'll put the alternator on. Yeah, see what it starts to look like in its entirety. And I may just change the spark, put the new spark plugs in. Obviously they're the old ones, left them in when I sprayed the engine up so that we wouldn't get anything in the threads, any paint in the threads. But yeah, or I could just leave them and wait until it's the engine in. In fact, you know what, I think I will. I think I'll leave them. But yeah, I'll pop the alternator on and we'll see how it's looking then. Right, so let's get back to it in just a minute. Well, there we have it. The alternator's on. It's only loosely fitted and I put the belt on. Like I say, I think when I come to actually fit it back into the engine, there's going to be one or two parts taken off. And for completeness, I've put the rocker cover back on, the aluminium rocker cover that I bought a while back. But I'll tell you, I honestly, I can't stress it enough, but I think that looks fabulous. You know, for somebody who's not a mechanic, who's never done anything like this before, I think it's lovely. I really do think it is really starting to come together, and I'm really pleased with myself. I think for this video, that's where we're going to end it. But as always, like I say, thank you very much for coming over to see what it is that I'm up to. If you like what you see, please give us a bit of a subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. You hit the subscribe button, you'll get notification as and when I put a new video out in the future. And yeah, you can hopefully see this thing going, hopefully, within the next couple of weeks. But between now and then, like I say, thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next one. All right, cheers for now. Bye-bye.